Hello everybody and welcome back to Dollar Tree Dinners and welcome to day 2 of my minimal spend grocery series. Today I want to take a step back and show you guys what I have in my fridge, freezer, and pantry because I realized that this is not going to be particularly helpful if you don't know what I already have on hand. We'll also be going over my menu for the day and I'll be sharing everything I'm picking up because we're going to have the kids with us this weekend. Of course, I'm still trying to spend as little as possible, but my top priority is making sure I have everything for the weekend to keep everyone fed and happy. So before we get started on breakfast, let's take a look at what we're working with. So one thing I like to do every week is sort and organize my fridge. I like for things to be very visible and front facing. And as you can see, I don't buy a whole lot. There's a lot of empty space in this fridge because I try to focus on using what I have before I purchase anything new. I also use deli containers a lot for storing things, and I know exactly what's in each of these containers, so I don't feel it necessary to label them, but they're really helpful for storing like small amounts of things and really just visualizing what I have because they're clear. First up in this corner, we have our coffee creamers, we have some Dollar Tree milk as well as some fresh milk, and then I have almond milk. Michael's tummy gets a little sensitive sometimes to regular milk, so I like to keep almond milk in case he wants to have a bowl of cereal or something like that. Then in these deli containers here, I have a half of an onion that I'll use up today. I have some taco meat from yesterday's tacos and our leftover tomato soup from yesterday's lunch. There's a good chance I'll end up freezing some of this, but I usually like to chill it in the fridge before I transfer it to the freezer. Eggs are expensive where I live because they only sell cage-free eggs, but the prices have been kind of going back down, so I was able to get 36 eggs for around $12. And then I have these 2 bags that I took out of my freezer. These are the bacon ends and pieces, and I'm slowly working my way through that with our breakfast this week. Next on this side, we have some more kind of odds and ends. These are some chipotle peppers in adobo that I used to make a marinade earlier this week. I also have some homemade like Big Mac sauce, and I tried to make some of the Subway creamy sriracha sauce, so that's what that is. Up here we have some of my cooking fat, so this is my rendered beef tallow, and I actually made homemade butter the other day because I needed buttermilk for something and the grocery store didn't have any buttermilk. So I was like, okay, well they do have heavy cream, so let's experiment with making butter. That way I have the buttermilk for the recipe and I can just know how to make butter. So I made butter, which is what's in this container, some homemade buttermilk, which I only learned after I went through the process of making this butter and buttermilk, that the buttermilk that you make with pasteurized cream is not the same as the buttermilk you buy in the store. So it wasn't a total fail, but it wasn't a total success either. I have some chicken breasts that I took out of my freezer, and I'll probably use those for tonight's dinner. And this is what I wanted the buttermilk for, was because I wanted to try making some restaurant style ranch. It's pretty decent, but it's quite thin because my buttermilk isn't the same as the stuff in the grocery store. We have some Greek yogurt. Michael likes this salmon cream cheese, so I buy it for him every now and again. I have some leftover rice, a few slices of tomato, spinach, and some lettuce leaves for sandwiches. I keep a pretty wide assortment of like condiments and pickles and stuff, but it's pretty basic stuff. Ginger, garlic, lime juice, mayonnaise. I have some raspberry preserves, some Thai chili sauce. This is like ketchup, mustard. We have pickles, banana peppers, jalapenos, hot sauces. And then down here we've got like dressings and stuff, or kind of specific types of sauces. So like sriracha. I've got some honey mustard, Caesar dressing, ranch dressing, Chick-fil-A sauce. It's a pretty well-stocked assortment of condiments and pickles. This is kind of my meat drawer or deli meat. So right now I've got a few pepperoni and some salami. I've also got some grilled chicken strips, a few open packages of deli meat, some smoked sausage, and some regular bacon, not the ends and pieces. I actually found this at the grocery outlet for 99 cents, so that was a super great bargain. All right, and over here we have our cheese drawer. So I've got some sliced cheddar and provolone cheese for sandwiches. I've got my shredded cheddar and mozzarella cheese, which you guys know is my favorite mix of cheese. I also recently picked up this block of cheddar and Monterey Jack from the grocery outlet because it was on sale. And we like to keep American cheese on hand for a variety of things. And I do try to buy the Kraft. There's one little lonesome slice from the last package. This side of the door is just the ice maker, and then I throw some juice boxes down here for the kids. Moving on to the vegetable crisper drawer, which is kind of looking sparse right now. I do have some leftover shredded lettuce from the tacos. Let's move these over. So these are all the taco toppings, and we'll pretty much be using up most of this for lunch today. Over here, I have some mandarin oranges that I've had for a couple of weeks, so I don't know if they're still good. We'll find out whenever I go to peel into some of them. A couple of tomatoes, a few Roma tomatoes, and a couple of jalapeno peppers that I need to use up soon. And then I have some bell peppers. I got this like 3-pack, and then I have a red and a green, as well as some baby cut carrots. But generally speaking, this produce drawer is pretty empty, and I am gonna pick up a few produce items today. I'm gonna warn you guys that my freezer is a bit chaotic because most of what I keep in this freezer are like open packages, but I've got all of my ice packs and my yeast up here, as well as some shrimp that I thought was on clearance, but ended up bringing up full price. I've got some diced bell pepper that I need to transfer into freezer bags. This is some chopped celery. I always keep a pack of hamburger buns in my freezer because they thaw out really quickly. So on the nights that we want to do like cheeseburgers or chicken sandwiches, I don't have to worry about my buns going bad because I keep them in the freezer. As well as a bag of frozen seasoning blend. I got some of these buffalo chicken pizza bites at the grocery outlet. I want to say the bag was like $1.99. So I've been kind of snacking on those. As far as vegetables go, I don't know why I have so much broccoli, but I have 3 bags of broccoli and a bag of frozen mixed vegetables, as well as a half-used bag of seasoning blend. These are some chicken bones that I'm accumulating and starting a new scrap bag for stock. I have a bag of waffle cut French fries for our Chick-fil-A at home, along with some frozen peas, some sausage patties. I have some pork pot stickers, some boneless chicken bites, some frozen mixed berries, and then there's this little slot here in the front that's supposed to be for pizzas, but I have some chicken nuggets, as well as our mega fillets for our chicken sandwiches. So I have the original for the kids and the spicy for the 2 of us. So I know that was a lot, but that is pretty much everything in my fridge and my freezer. I do also have a fridge in the garage, and Michael's out there working right now, so I don't want to interrupt him. But I can tell you that in my garage freezer, I have an assortment of different cuts of chicken from deboning whole chickens. I am still doing that, although I don't do it as often as I used to. Mostly because I don't go through chicken stock that quickly, and I almost always keep it in the freezer. So that's the other thing in that freezer. I should probably learn how to pressure can it. That way I have it more readily available when I need it. But I'm not really at that point in my journey quite yet. I have my par-baked pizza crust. I have some barbecue chicken. Pretty sure I have some frozen marinara sauce. I have taco meat. I have chili. I also have a couple of packs of bratwurst that I got on clearance. I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much it. I have some frozen egg rolls out there, and I have some frozen flounder fillets because I was gonna make fish tacos one night for dinner that I ended up not making. I think that's everything. I'm trying to like visualize, oh, and some extra packs of bacon because like I said, I couldn't really pass up 99-cent bacon. So I think I grabbed 4 of them, and I should have 2 in the freezer, and I have 1 in the fridge, and 1 we've already used. Okay. I probably won't do an itemized look at the pantry. I do have a fairly fully stocked pantry. I try to buy things when I get them on sale at the grocery outlet, and I keep a relatively decent spread of like canned ingredients, pantry ingredients. As far as produce goes, I have some potatoes. This was a 5-pound bag, and I also have a few yellow onions and a red onion. But everything else in my pantry I'm pretty sure is fairly standard. I don't have anything that kind of stands out to me as like needing to go over specifically. Hopefully you guys trust me enough to know that I won't lie about having something for the sake of like fudging the numbers. And that brings me to the menu. This is not the menu for today. Today is actually Thursday, but before the kids come on the weekends, I put together a menu kind of things that we already have. I like to give them options for breakfast, options for lunch, and then we do a family dinner together. For breakfast options this week, I have eggs, yogurt, oatmeal, pancakes, cereal, muffins, Pop-Tarts, breakfast pizzas, or McMuffins. And then for lunch, we have an option of a grilled cheese, a ham and cheese sandwich, we have some chicken nuggets, we could do pizza, nachos, or cheesy roll-ups. So for breakfast and lunch, I do kind of turn myself into a bit of a short order cook because I like to give the kids choices in what they have for breakfast and lunch. But for dinner, I do kind of pre-plan these for family dinners. So for tomorrow's dinner, which is Friday, we're going to do our Chick-fil-A at home, which I shared last week. And then for Saturday, I'm going to order Panda Express. I'm not going to be cooking. Panda Express is super cheap. We just do the family deal. It's $35 for 3 large entrees and 2 large sides, and we always have leftovers. And then on Sunday, we are vendors at the Haunted Farmers Market in Tacoma. I will actually not be there this weekend or any weekend moving forward. There's just not enough room for me, Michael, the 2 kids, and all of our merchandise in the van. So I stay home for this now, and Michael and the kids go. So I just put this on the menu so that I know I need to pack them a lunch and stuff like that so that they have things to eat while they're there. So that's the menu for the weekend. And I already know what's in my fridge, freezer, and my pantry, and I made that menu based on what I already have. However, there are a couple of items that I want to pick up for convenience and also to round out some items on that menu. So for example, I have sandwiches on the menu. I have almost no bread left, so I know I need to pick up sandwich bread. And I also like to pick up some French bread to use to make some Subway style sandwiches at home. And I also like to use the French bread when I'm packing lunches to go. The kids love milk, so I'm definitely gonna pick up some more of that. Sour cream I am almost out of, and the kids like to have sour cream to dip their grilled cheese sandwiches in. They also like them for nachos, so it's just a good thing to have on hand. I do have a few tortilla chips, but I don't have much, and in the event that they pick nachos for lunch, I'm gonna pick up an extra bag of tortilla chips. I also have sausage, eggs, and cheese, but I don't have any English muffins, so I'm gonna pick those up in case they want a McMuffin for breakfast. And then last night when I made tacos for dinner, there was like a little bit of a miscommunication, and Michael said tacos, but what he actually wanted was burritos. So I'm gonna pick up some burrito tortillas today, and I'll use the rest of my taco-sized tortillas in case one of the kids wants a cheesy roll-up for lunch. Then I put pizza on the lunch menu. I do have some par-baked pizza crust out in my freezer, so it would be pretty easy for me to throw together a pizza, but I think I'm gonna pick up a handful of those little rectangular Totino's party pizzas because they both really like those, and those are super cheap. And as I mentioned, my vegetable drawer is getting pretty low. So I'm gonna pick up an assortment of really cheap options for fruits and vegetables to have on the sides with their breakfast or their lunches. Things like strawberries, watermelon, bananas, apples, carrots, cucumbers, cherry tomatoes, just little things that I can put on the side to offer them some more nutritious options with their breakfast and their lunch. Boy, that was a lot. I hope you guys followed along with me on all of that. I don't often go through, all of the ingredients that I have and how I make my meal plans and stuff like that. So I did that the best that I could. Let's go to the grocery store. So that is lunch. We used up all of the taco meat. I have some Spanish rice still. I have all of my taco toppings and some more shredded lettuce. We don't really have anything going on until we have to go to football practice, which is at 4. And then usually we like to take the kids out for frozen yogurt once a week. So we'll probably do that afterwards. So it'll probably be, let's see, so football practice from 5 to 6. We do froyo afterwards. We usually get the kids home around 7, and then we're home around 7:30. So that'll probably be the next time I check in with you guys, is around 7:30 when we get home to cook dinner. And tonight we're making chicken cheesesteaks. It is 7:30, pretty much on the dot. I called that to a T. We're gonna start it on dinner for the night, and we're gonna be doing one of our favorites, which is Philly chicken cheesesteaks. So I have some boneless, skinless chicken breasts, some provolone cheese, along with some American cheese. These are the 3 cheesesteaks from foodnetwork.com, but I'm swapping the steak for chicken. Then our mushrooms from earlier, a couple of bell peppers, and an onion from out of the pantry. I think that's everything except for the bread, which I'm gonna be using the $1 loaf of French bread from earlier. Let's start by prepping the vegetables, starting with the onion, which I like to thinly slice lengthwise. And then we've got our 2 bell peppers. Which I'm also going to cut into slices. I did the veggies first, that way I can go ahead and cut the chicken on the same cutting board. Because all we're going to be doing is very thinly slicing it. We're going to be tossing our sliced chicken in a mixture of salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, and chili powder for a little bit of smoky flavor. I'm also going to add a splash of oil, and then we're going to toss that all to coat. Let's get our skillet preheating over medium-high heat as well. Start with a little oil at the bottom. Once that's preheated, I'm going to go in with my peppers and onions first. And we're going to go for a pretty quick sear on these because I still like them to have a little crunch. I don't like them to be just withered down into nothing. Alright, that's probably good. Again, just going for something quick just to soften them up slightly, but not enough that they are soft. Next, I'm going to go in with the mushrooms, and we're going to do the same, except for we're going to cook those until they are soft. Those are looking great. They're getting like a real good like caramelization on the edges of each one. Let's pour those into our veggie bowl. We're gonna have to add a little more oil because our mushrooms soaked it all up. And I've been working on pretty high heat here because I really want everything to get good flavor to it. I'm probably gonna do the chicken in about 2 batches. Actually, I think I can get it all there in one. It's not that much chicken. Now I know it seems like I have no rhyme or reason or specific measurements for this, and in a sense I don't, because I've been making a variation of this meal for about 10 years now. Again, this is the three cheese cheesesteak recipe from Melissa the Arabian, back when Food Network did $10 dinners. I became hooked on it in my early 20s. I made it a ton, usually using like 50-cent loaves of bread from Jimmy John's and whatever cheap steak I could find at Food Lion. I only recently started making a version with chicken, and we ended up liking that a lot. And when I was thinking about making a chicken cheesesteak, I was like, well, what if I just take this recipe that I already know and love and just swap the steak for chicken? And it worked great. It's kind of been on our rotation ever since. Then I'm going to add in a few spoonfuls of cream cheese. This is my homemade cream cheese. And I'm going to lower that heat. We're going to melt that down. I'm also going to add some American cheese, about 4 slices. American cheese makes this really creamy. So does cream cheese. You know, cheesesteak sandwiches are traditionally made with like Cheese Whiz or Velveeta or some kind of really melty cheese. And I'm also going to toss our vegetables in here. So our peppers, onions, and mushrooms. We're going to toss that all to coat. I am just making a mess today though. My coordination's not very good apparently. Just let that all kind of hang out while we prep our bread. I do like to kind of slice the ends off of these loaves just because I find the ends a little dry. Okay. And then I think I'm going to do, let's cut this loaf into kind of thirds. So like 1/3 and 2/3. So that'll be Michael's, that'll be mine. So he has a much bigger appetite. And then one other thing I like to do is kind of trench the bread, which is where you just pull out a little bit of bread from the center of the loaf, just to overall improve like the filling to bread ratio. A lot of sandwich shops do this, and that's where I picked it up. You can save this, use it to make French toast casserole, bread pudding, even homemade breadcrumbs, stuffing around Thanksgiving time, because that is a few months away, it feels like. This year's just going by too fast. Let's grab a pan for our sandwiches. I'm going to load these up with our chicken cheesesteak mixture. And then for our final cheese, we're going to add, I'm going to do provolone on mine. And I'm going to do a mixture of provolone and American on his. He likes extra cheese on pretty much everything. And I preheated my oven to 400 degrees. I'm just gonna pop my sandwiches in there for about 5 minutes or so, just to kind of soften up the bread and melt the cheese. And I'm always packing up leftovers because our lunches are always our dinner leftovers, almost without fail. if I'm cooking dinner, I'm cooking enough for us to have for lunch the next day. So there is our chicken cheesesteak dinner for tonight. Actually only set those in the oven for about 3 minutes, just enough to melt the cheese on top. So these are not as good as they were the first time that I made them because I'm pretty sure I added a lot more American cheese than I did this time. And I did dribble some cheese sauce on my shirt. So we're just gonna pretend we don't see that. But yeah, these are not as good as they were the first time I made them because I'm pretty sure I added like at least double the amount of American cheese I just did. Because I remember the first time I made them, I only used one chicken breast. So I made like a half batch. And maybe I did use about 6 slices of American cheese for a half-size batch. And then I remade it like the next day because we really liked it. So I thought this time I doubled the recipe, but I think I doubled it incorrectly. It's still good, it's still fine. It's just not as good as it was the first time I made it. And that's coming from a household where we eat a lot of cheese. I know that we eat a lot of cheese. We also eat a lot of like sandwich variations of things. Like I was thinking about it and I'm pretty sure that I could sum up like 90% of our meals as like some form of a sandwich. Cheeseburgers, cheesesteak sandwiches, chicken sandwiches, breakfast sandwiches. Like we like sandwiches and we like cheese. When I reheat the leftovers tomorrow, depending on how it's looking, I might add some extra cheese to it, but I'm not sure yet. But that is a wrap on day 3 of this minimal spend. How much did we spend today at Walmart? I think it was like 60. So we spent $61.80 at Walmart, and that should get us through for quite a while. We've got the kids this weekend, so my priority was making sure that they are happy and comfortable and taken care of. And then Michael and I will be fine. We'll be fine for the rest of the week. And I will be filming this weekend, although it might look a little bit different because I'm probably not going to be doing much like talking to the camera. I try to be very like attentive and in the moment when the kids are here. So if I film, it will be kind of passively, maybe voiceover style content. I'm not sure yet, but we will see. I am going to film our meals this weekend. It just might look a little different. That wraps day 3. We had leftovers for lunch, just made some beef and rice burritos, kind of like burrito supremes, I guess you could call them. And then we did chicken cheesesteaks for dinner. We had a meal planning session, what's in my fridge, freezer, and pantry, and a quick little grocery trip. So we covered a lot of things in this video. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will see you again soon.